low fat, I ate low carb, I overate, I underate, I tried like everything, and nothing really worked. I was kind of like, occasionally I would get better, and I was figuring out, I was noticing particular things, but it wasn't really, not one thing was working for me. So it occurred to me that maybe there was more to food than what we had originally thought. You know, maybe there's more than just calories, fats, protein, and carbs. Maybe there's something else going on. Maybe there's more as well to us that's going on that we weren't recognizing. That food and ourselves were far more complex than we had realized before. So this is how most people view foods, I guess, in very basic ways, like carbs, proteins, you know, fats. This is how a lot of people view themselves in life, like we're just kind of just killing time, we're just kind of like waiting, where things are boring. But it turns out that we are much more remarkable than we give ourselves credit for. So this is a real photo. So I'm a bit of a space nerd. I was also enrolled in astrophysics a while ago, so forgive me for the space things that come through. But I adore space because I love it as another viewpoint from where we are. You know, we can get so concentrated on ourselves. And that was what was going on for me when I was unwell as well. I was so focused on myself, not thinking about all the amazing things that were around me. So this is a real photo taken by the Hubble telescope. This is the Eagle Nebula. So it really exists in space. It's a collection of stars and different gases. They named this the pillars of creation. And I think it's like really amazing that it's real, it's out there. So this is also where I decided to become a writer at this point in time. So I became a writer because I'd read every single self-help book, I'd read every single fitness and health magazine. It was clearly written by people that didn't really know the body or understand nutrition. They were giving terrible advice, like if you want to lose weight, just drink lots of Diet Coke, or if you want to lose weight, just calorie count and, you know, binge eat chocolate on one day and then starve yourself for the rest of the week. You know, like terrible advice. So I needed to know more for myself, but I also wanted to share it. And I'm very passionate about finding the real truth behind things, because it's quite difficult today to figure out what the truth is with food, because there's so much clever marketing. You know, you walk into the supermarket, and particularly as a mum, like anyone who's been a mum can also understand, but anyone who cares about their health, there's so much clever advertising around and marketing. You know, there's an ad at the moment that says that this chocolate breakfast is the healthiest that you can have. Like, where did common sense go? How is chocolate now the healthiest like breakfast that we could be giving ourselves or our children? Like, seriously, no wonder that we have a rise in behavioural issues, because in my clinic I treat a lot of children with behavioural issues and weight issues, because somehow all the ads are getting to us, slowly wearing us down, making us believe chocolate is the best. I mean, chocolate is great. I've got a whole chapter on chocolate in my book on how great it is, but maybe not for breakfast. Why was I exercising so much and really not eating that much and still not losing weight? Why was that still happening? So basically I decided that I wanted to become a writer, and I wanted to interview the smartest people in the world and write about what they taught me. So that's what I did. So what did I discover? Did I discover to be completely terrified of yummy foods? No, I did not, which is like, thank goodness. So I learned instead to use your food as medicine. So this is the layer I'm talking about. Food and ourselves, and I guess the world, is multi-layered. We always, often, too easily just see things on the surface and believe that that's all there is. So we believe food is only carbs, fats, and proteins, but there's like so many more layers to food going on, so I'll go through that. Food is complex and multi-layered. So food is more than just fats, carbs, and protein, like I said. The particular foods we choose to eat can actually switch on or off disease states. It can trigger DNA to switch on, genetic information to switch off. It can trap us in states of weight gain or trigger weight loss. It can accelerate aging or slow it down. And it actually has very little to do with what we have originally thought it has to do with. It's got very little to do with how many calories are there, how many fats are there. Calorie counting and low fat are actually quite outdated now. Particularly if you think about, if we use the instance of, we went through the whole low fat revolution, you where it was like you can't eat fat anymore and it's like the worst thing in the world. Yet how come when we all gave up fat, that's when obesity skyrocketed? So clearly we've missed the mark on a few things. So, and then I followed these guys for a while. So these guys are like my nerd buddies. So Professor Brown is on the left and Dr. Sunil Panchal is on the right. They work for the University of Southern Queensland, but I think that's now been bought out by the University of the Sunny Coast. They're biochemists, so I've been interviewing them and working alongside them for several years. They were the guys that have heard of purple carrots. Yes. So they were the guys that discovered purple carrots and why they are so good for us. I'm not talking about purple carrots today, but I do that in other talks. They're also the guys that discovered why chia seeds work, how they're healthy. They also taught me all about what I was desperate to know about, inflammation. So this is low-grade chronic inflammation. A lot of people are in a state of low-grade chronic inflammation. A typical sign of it when it's progressed a particular way is usually weight that accumulates around the middle of the body. It's very hard to lose that weight. So we know a little bit about acute inflammation. So acute inflammation is when you twist your ankle, it becomes swollen, red and hot, it's hurting. There's a chemical process going on where chemicals and hormones are going to the ankle to try and fix and heal it. But what if that process is not switched off? That's a bad thing. When it's not switched off, those chemicals, those same chemicals and hormones are floating around the system in lower doses and they affect our body significantly. And that's what low-grade chronic inflammation is. Does that kind of make sense? Does anyone have questions there? Okay, so what is chronic inflammation? So science has discovered that low-grade chronic inflammation underlies every single disease state that we know of. So Alzheimer's disease, obesity, cancer, Crohn's disease, arthritis, asthma, you name it, every single chronic disease state has inflammation present there underlying it. So what we're trying to figure out now is, and what it looks like, is that inflammation can trigger these disease states, and inflammation definitely worsens the disease processes. It is also the main reason why people try so hard to lose weight and they cannot. So I don't know if anyone's ever experienced that, where they're trying really hard to exercise. They often over-exercise. That actually increases their inflammation worse, which means they hold the weight on. So inflammation holds weight on the body, it will not let it go. So that's what's going on. If you are doing everything right and you can't lose weight, inflammation is probably underlying what's going on. So this is where foods can act as medicine. Can foods act as a medicine and actually switch off the inflammation? Yes. So science is finally catching up. So for thousands of years, traditional diets and people have been using food as medicine. You know, like the Indians and the Thai people, people in Europe, they've been basing a lot of their diet on foods that acted like a medicine. They weren't eating ever calorie counting, they weren't ever eating proteins, carbs and fats. They were eating, hey, this food and this herb does this particular thing. They knew it from ancient times. But finally, and this is why I love my job at the moment, finally the scientists are now researching the foods. You know, for years and years and years, scientists have just been researching pharmaceutical drugs because that's where a lot of the money is. But now they're going, hang on, let's have a look at these foods. Maybe they wanted to do it to prove all the hippies wrong, I don't know. But they have found now, like the science journals are full of confirmed reports about particularly turmeric, purple carrots, chia seeds, these foods that I will teach you about. So what are some of these foods? So these are some of the foods that can act as a medicine. We've got mushrooms there, particularly reishi or shiitake mushrooms are very good for us. We've got berries. Really strong coloured things are very powerful as an antioxidant. Mung beans, so legumes are good. Here's turmeric. Does anyone know what that is? I don't know what that is. What is it?
Cassia.
Oh, cassia?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, cassia, okay. Cinnamon, I think. Dark chocolate, which is like, yes. We've got kidney beans, olives, goji berries, flax seeds, oats. So all these foods can be used as a medicine. I'll explain it more. So how can they be used as a medicine? What makes a food as medicine? Usually antioxidant-rich foods. So has everyone heard of antioxidants? Yes, so we're kind of familiar with them. We know that antioxidants are good and free radicals are bad. So antioxidants are chemicals natural or man-made, that can prevent or slow damage to a cell, like cell aging. Antioxidant is more like a behavior of a cell. So it's any compound that can donate electrons. So forgive me again, I'm a bit of a science nerd, like I said. So I'll just cover it briefly, only because I think it's such an important concept to understand, antioxidants and free radicals. So it's any compound that can donate electrons to stop a free radical. So antioxidants are good, basically, because they stop free radicals from damaging our cells. Professor Brown from USQ also states that antioxidants could be more viewed as anti-inflammatory molecules because they have the unique ability to switch off inflammation in the body. Remember, inflammation underlies every single disease state, so switching it off is a very good thing. So here is a free radical. This is what it looks like. Most molecules and atoms like to have paired electrons. They're like, you know, a married couple. They prefer to be married. They don't like to be single. So they become a free radical when suddenly they're single, and they want to steal electrons from the surrounding cells. That's how they cause damage, because they're basically stealing things from around themselves. And so if you've got a perfect cell, and suddenly something's taking something out of it, it becomes irregular, it's damaged, it's not functioning properly, and then it's a cascading effect. You know, one free radical steals from that cell then becomes a free radical which steals from another cell. So can you understand how we can damage skin through this process? If a free radical is in our skin from UV sunlight, anywhere in the body where this is happening, cell damage will be cascading. An antioxidant is the opposite. It's a molecule that has an abundance of electrons on its outer shell that can freely give them to the free radicals to switch off the free radicals. Does that kind of make sense? Do you understand? So that's why antioxidants are so good. So what is this? Does anyone know what this food is? Yes. Yep. So this is raw cacao. So raw cacao is the unroasted version of cocoa powder. So why raw cacao is said to be better than cocoa is because raw cacao hasn't been heated, so the antioxidants are still present in it. It can still work as a medicine. The enzymes are still there. It's more nutrient rich. Raw cacao contains the components of green and black tea, which have been scientifically proven to be amazing, which is catechins and epicatechins. They contain flavonoid type antioxidants, and it has many of the same benefits as dark chocolate. So we'll just go through dark chocolate, because I always feel excited that dark chocolate is finally good. So dark chocolate, we're talking like the 70 to 90% dark chocolate. So dark chocolate is high in flavonoid type antioxidants. It's 8 times stronger than strawberries. So the science knows that the flavonoids helps to decrease blood pressure. They boost the immune system. They protect the body from infection. It is said that if you were to experience a heart attack, then if you were eating dark chocolate regularly,